Hi everybody. It's been such a great week of videos and I had one more to share with you this week. And I want to start by thanking Shimshon, my brother-in-law, because he was so kind and thought of sharing my videos with people who he's friends with on Facebook. He's from Cleveland and I'm from San Diego. So I thought that was so nice of him. And he encouraged my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law to do the same thing. So I'm really grateful to my whole in-law side of the family. Thank you very much for doing that. So I want to start by telling you a little something about a bench lady that that happened a while back. But basically, I was sitting with someone and on a bench, and this woman said to me how like the certain organization was really not run very well and how it needs to really be run better and more efficiently and in a way that's more appealing. And she had a whole bunch of feedback and advice. Shimshon, if you missed the beginning of this, I did a little shout out for you, so just rewind. So anyway, point of the story is this. That's my husband. Say hi. You're live, just to let you know. Okay, so what happened? The bench lady is giving me all this feedback about how it was really like horrible how everything was managed in this organization. And I totally heard what she was saying. In fact, she was bringing up a lot of valid points. And I thought to myself, I don't want to be someone on this bench. And sorry, excuse me 1 second. I'm going to get the kids. There we go. Thank you. Kids are being shuttered off to bed. So I thought to myself, this woman's bringing up a lot of valid points. But I don't want to just be sitting on a bench and be negative. I want to get up and I want to do. I want to be impacting in a powerful and positive way. So I decided to do something about it, and I started really working in this organization and trying to work very hard to help fill the gaps that the woman had identified. And a year or maybe even less into the whole thing, I communicated with her on how things were going, and what do you think she said? You might have thought that she would say, wow, it's so great that you're doing something, it's so much better, but guess what? She was still harping on the negative. So what does this have to do with my brother-in-law and my in-law side of the family, and what does this have to do with bench lady, and what am I getting at? So I thought I would spend 2 minutes talking to you about what is leadership. What is the opposite of being a leader? So in my estimation, the opposite of being a leader is not being a follower. I don't think the opposite of leading is following. People think being a follower is a bad thing. I actually think someone who has natural tendency to follow someone else's vision, as long as it's a great vision that they're attaching themselves to, they could be you know, impacting people in a very powerful way. So the opposite of a leader, in my opinion, is not a follower, but it's a kvetch. A kvetch, for those of you who don't know, is someone who complains and complains and complains, but really doesn't do anything. So, you know, we all want to make an impact, whether it be in our home or in our workplace or in our community or wherever our, you know, space is. We all want to make an impact. And the question is, how are we going to do that? So, you know, it's funny because when I was a teenager, I used to make fun of my mom who, who would be very into servant leadership by Stephen Covey. And I have to say, she actually, you know, many years later, I have to say she knew what she was talking about, because it really makes sense. For those of you who are not familiar with the philosophy of servant leadership, it basically means that a leader is somebody who serves. And we see this over and over again in the Torah. Abraham served all the people around him. He was constantly worried about the physical satisfaction of those around him. Are they hungry? Are they thirsty? Are they clean? We see this in all the stories of him and the guests that he had. He was famous for his guests and how his tent was open on all sides. And he was worried about his own spiritual growth, but he was worried about everyone else's physical growth or physical comfort. He was worried about himself spiritually. He was worried about everyone else physically. The rest of the world has a tendency to be worried about themselves physically and worried about everyone else spiritually. In other words, I want to know, am I hungry? Am I too hot? Am I too tired? I want to take care of myself physically, but I really don't care about taking care of anyone else physically. And I really am worried about them spiritually. Are they doing the right thing? They shouldn't have said that, being critical. So Abraham was the exact opposite. He would only worry about his own spiritual welfare, or first and foremost, and then he would worry about everyone else's physical welfare. So he was very much a servant leader. Moses is another example of a servant leader. He would sit and judge the people all day long. He would constantly service them, and whatever, if they were thirsty, he would work with them. So Moses, who was a big leader for us, he was serving others. King, Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, he was sitting there and judging people. He was serving others. So we see over and over and over again how people who are in leadership positions are actually busy serving other people. And that brings me to the conclusion of this, which is, I believe that leadership is defined by how much value do you bring to other people. So, I look at my own life, and maybe you would want to think about yours for a moment and think, am I bringing value to the people around me? Whoever it is that you want to bring value to. It could be the people in your personal life, and it could extend beyond that. Am I bringing value to those around me? And that is the measurement. That's like the litmus test for, am I a leader or not? A good friend of mine told me in the beginning of the year by Rosh Hashanah time, she said, I don't want any drama, but I also don't want to be fearful. And I found that those words, I don't know if they resonate with you, but they really resonated with me, because so many times I'd be paralyzed by, I don't want to offend someone, I don't want to do something, but it really has to be on us to not be fearful, to do what we need to do to make a positive impact. And we also don't want to create conflict for no reason. So we have to balance those two things when we're going out for leadership. So to wrap it up, leadership, in my opinion, is defined by how much value do I bring other people and a certain level of fearlessness when I go out and do it. I'm curious to know what leaders you think are in your life, past, present, dead or alive, whatever, and also what values do you consider important to a leadership. Okay, I hope you enjoyed, everybody. Have a good night. Bye.